Shelby, can we have you share first about, I know,
Yeah, sure. So I am what all the stuff you just said is all true. So I'm just gonna share using myself as an example. And so the sales is actually also including prospecting, personal branding, marketing, and storytelling. So, but today we're gonna focus on the the actually the middle phase because we're gonna jump into the person you already in contact. And there's also a saying that your a stranger will become your client more than your own friends. So that's very true, and that is because a lot of people are afraid of selling, fear of selling, and if you can turn selling as a solving a problem, then it will be easier. So a lot of times maybe your friend or your family member don't have the problem you are trying to solve, and that's why your family or friends is hard to become your clients. But stranger, since strangers is when there's a problem arise, they will be looking for the professional or looking for the store or the place to fulfill their or solve their problems or their needs. And so selling to me, there's four different meanings. Like I mentioned, it's identify their problems and solving their problem. It's selling. And second one is it's called challenging personalized. I heard this from Ty Lopez, and challenging personalized, for example, is let's say my client, the one that I just closed, they met me because they want to rent a house 4 years ago, and then the house they rent is a single family home, which is like 3 4 bedroom, and the rent is like $3,000 to $4,000. So I personal challenge them. I ask, so if you pay $3,000 $4,000 a month on a rent, why don't you buy it? If you buy it, then those money that you paid out, it's not going to the landlord. It's going to pay your mortgage, which years later will become your equity that you can cash out. So that's one of the way of challenging personalize. And as if we apply to, let's say, new skin and like lipstick, for example, you can personalize to people and ask them that, oh, you have a lipstick, but every time you go to Jorge's restaurant and you eat, your lipstick is gone. So why don't you buy something better? Or why don't you maybe consider getting something more permanent? You won't have that problem that you have to go to restroom and redo your lipstick every time you eat. So that's another example. So the third one is demo. So as Wendy always said, she likes to go around and do a demolition of people's checking their health. So that's one kind. And, and as for real estate, demoing will be probably more like showing homes, different homes, and showing that they're like the home available in the market. That's part of the demolition. And the fourth one is, of course, the solutions. And New Skin has a lot of solutions when it comes to beauty, skincare, and health. And it's all in one, right? And we also have incentive if we start, having the client become a business owner or partner with us, then their incentive is also kind of like what I just say about mortgage. If you buy home, you put monthly mortgage, it will cash you back. You'll cash out later. So this is the same thing. If somebody buy new skin product and then if they don't become a business partner or affiliate, they won't get the money back. But if they are, then they will cash back the spending as well. So that's the equivalent to the mortgage. Okay. Any questions so far? Wendy? No?
I
Okay,
agree. I
so,
agree with all of that.
huh?
I agree
Thank
with
you.
all this.
Okay, so, so selling, a lot of time people, like as a salesperson, many salesperson are afraid and then they also feel of rejections. And oftentimes they maybe try to approach somebody. Let's say I approach Wendy to sell her something, and she say no today, but and then I ask her again 3 months later, she might say no again. But that doesn't mean she doesn't need to solve this particular problem or needs this particular product. Let's say 6 months out. So if you keep in touch with this person, then, you know, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, like I mentioned to earlier, this client who just bought a house, I met them 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They didn't buy until today. So that's like 4 or 5 years later. So there's a marketing research status that you have to do around at least 7 touches. That means you have to email them, making a phone call, or follow them on social media, and then you put yourself in front of them as much as you can. And once they get familiar with you as a brand or as a person, then they will be building, like Wendy said, building that trust relationship. So, for example, this client, when I mentioned that you're paying 3,000, 4,000 a month on renting, why don't you just buy a home? She remember I say that all these years. So that's why she decided to make the move and bought a house. And actually, so she doesn't have to pay higher rent, in this upcoming year, because it's gonna raise the rent. So remember that if somebody rejecting you is not because you're no good or they don't like you, so it's not personal. It's just they don't need your help at the moment, and that doesn't mean they do not need your help in the future. So just keep following up, keep showing up. You know. So okay.
So it's probably the timing, right? Timing.
Yes, timing. I mean, I remember you mentioned you have a client or somebody that you know 2 years ago or 4 years ago, and and buy something recently,
I
right?
don't know.
You
Yeah,
don't
but
remember?
many I met like many years ago. That's why. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. One lady. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember.
one lady. Yeah. So see,
Yeah.
that's another good example.
Because
Okay.
when they need it, they'll think of you. That's why.
Yeah, but like I mentioned, you have to keep showing up, keep in contact, because like a lot of people, they maybe make a phone call or meet somebody and they say I don't need it, and then they get offended or they feel personal attack, so they don't want to follow up and they just lose it. So there's also a saying that if you don't follow up with your potential client, other people will do, and they will get your business. So that's very brutal, but it's true. Yeah.
Mhm.
And another thing I want to point out is Wendy asked, I mean, Wendy not, Wendy mentioned that you can ask a lot of questions and then be the listener, and that will also build out a relationship and nurture them, because they're gonna feel that you're the one who can solve their problem. Like this time, when I sell that home, we have a lot of issues, and it's very tough. And the seller has a lot of requirements and stuff, so that's why it's a lot of headaches and stuff. But we have to ride along with it, and that's when the time that you build, really truly build a relationship from client to become a friend. So now this family client has become my friend because we kind of been through that whole thing together. You know what I mean? It's building a very solid, strong foundation of going through this craziness. Put it that way.